Hey everybody, this is Chris and this is Econ Web, and I'm just going to go through a quick story that I had with a student over the ACA insurance that we have here in the US. The student asked about how people are now covered in the insurance, and I thought it was an interesting opportunity to discuss the supply and demand dynamics of the market. So what I want to do here is just kind of go through how I explained it to the student so that you can kind of see the people who, before the ACA came into existence, said that it would raise costs. And I want to kind of give you guys an example of why they said that. And now we're about 10 years later, we can kind of see the costs have increased. So I want to give you an explanation on that as well. So let's quickly just take a look at a supply and demand graph here. You grab a pen. So we know that supply is this is it increases as the price increases and demand decreases as the price increases. Price is over here and quantity is on this side. Zero is here, infinity and infinity, meaning price increases, the quantity increases for supply. I'm going to go ahead and erase that. Demand as price decreases, right? If this is the demand, or if this is the demand side right here, and it's going down, the quantity increases. So it's an inverse relationship. Now, when we think about the ACA, the issue that they had back then was the uninsured individuals. And so what we see, what happened there was um, we to get these uninsured individuals onto the insurance rolls, we had to we inadvertently increased demand. And we can see if this is equilibrium at the original market price and quantity, what we see with this increase is that it pushes those prices upward. So we can see that that new equilibrium is at price two, which is higher, and we have a higher quantity at quantity two. So what we would see is this area right here, that is those uninsured individuals. Okay. So this is the kind of concept that we would look at when we look at this through an economic 101 lens. And one thing to consider about this is that ultimately what I think some of the policymakers thought would happen was that as that demand shifted outward, we would see another approach of the supply shifting outward to meet that. So then we would have a lower price here where and it would be the higher quantity or demanded over here. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And so I did a little research onto, well, how hard is it to set up insurance? I don't mean like individual insurance for myself. I mean like, because one thing to assume with these markets, with this simple market, an assumption is easy entry and exit. And the entry part is critical for this assumption that supply would increase. Supply didn't increase. We moved right along this supply curve, which caused the increase in prices. Why was entry not available? Well, I just looked up to do a $6 million policy for a 6,600 person um, company. If I wanted to create a product for that, well, that's 10,000 per head, which is significant. That's very thin. That is not what you want to have. My reserve amount would be 1.5 million, which honestly, that would not be difficult to raise. However, the timeline on this is anywhere from 8 to 12 months, meaning I would have to sit on this plus pay my salary and other people's salaries for this time period. So I would probably need about 3.5 depending, and we'd have to get office space, we'd have to get all these types of operational things. In addition to that, I would have to have, yeah, my operational cost would be about 500K a year, and that's just to start. I would also have to get licensing and ACA compliance individuals. So these are all the reasons why the supply curve did not shift. Now, one last thing about this that I discussed with my student is the risk association. All insurances is risk. One thing I have a hard time sometimes talking about the healthcare versus medical care. A doctor can administer a cast on a broken bone. Can a doctor run a 2 mile run for me? I know a 2 mile run is great for my healthcare, but a doctor cannot run that for me. So that's kind of one of the areas that I kind of look at when I talk to my students about this. I say, is it really health insurance or is it medical insurance? And the next thing I discuss with them is the risk component. And the reason being is because when we look at a graph of, well, let's say 26-year-olds, that's when you get off the insurance, to let's say 100-year-olds, the graph kind of goes like this, right? Meaning, and this is the risk graph, meaning the individuals over here are more risky and the individuals over here are less. Now, what the ACA did, because a lot of these people said, we're going to go with no insurance. And so the premiums were all paid by just these individuals in general. What the ACA did is it did say we're going to start getting premiums from everybody over here. And so that helped spread out that risk. But without that increase in supply, as we just mentioned earlier, that is an area where it really hurt the consumer. And that is why we see the costs going up. It's just a very difficult situation. So, anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Excuse me. And if you guys have any questions, let me know. If you have questions about future topics, please let me know as well. Thanks so much.